Good morning and welcome in the next video lecture of electromagnetic field theory. In the today's lecture, we will going to discuss about the vector calculus, gradient, divergence, and curve. In the last lectures, we have discussed the different coordinate system through which we are able to understand the transformation from one coordinate to the next coordinate system. In the last lecture, we have already discussed the spherical coordinate system, as well as in the previous lectures, we have discussed the three coordinate system, that is a rectangular coordinate system, which is known as a Cartesian coordinate system. After that, we have discussed the cylindrical coordinate system, which is known as the circular coordinate system. In the next section, we have also discussed the spherical coordinate system, that is the sphere system. And we have also discussed the different transformation techniques from one coordinate system to the another coordinate system. Today's lecture content is the vector calculus, gradient, and divergence, and curve. So today we will learn about the vector calculus, gradient, and divergence, and curve. Previously, we have discussed the vectors and the dot product, cross product, and the basic phenomena of the vector or unit vectors. The prerequisites for the lecture is vector calculus, calculus, complex variable, dot product, cross product, differential calculus. So it is the prerequisite for this lecture. Student will able to solve the vector related problems and the cross product, dot products. They are able to understand the conversion techniques, Cartesian, spherical, and the cylindrical coordinate system. They are able to understand quite about the coordinate system. Without coordinate system, you are not understand the gradient, divergence, and curve. Course is focused on the foundation of the electromagnetic field theory. The learning objective of this lecture is on the completion of this lecture, student will be learn vector calculus, gradient, divergence, and the curve. They are interpretation between the gradient, divergence, and curve. They are able to understand the basic concept of the divergence, curve, and the gradients. They also learn the physical interpretation as well as the properties of the gradient, divergence, and the curve. Now, the textbook of this video lecture is shown in the slides, and the other recommended book is given in the slide. And the textbook is the Matthew and O. Sadiki. It is a very important book for the electromagnetic course. Those who want to learn the electromagnetic, so you just follow this book or try to read this book, and watching this video, you will able to interpret the curl, divergence, and gradient. Outcome of this video lecture is that student will be able to understand the vector calculus, gradient, divergence, and the curve. They also learn the properties of vector calculus, gradient, and divergence, and curve. Now we have the line integral of vectors. Certain parameters in the electromagnetics are defined in terms of the line integral of a vector field component in the direction of a given path. The component of a vector along a given path is found using the dot product. already discussed the dot product of the vectors in the previous lectures. Line integral of the vectors. The figure shows that the line integral of the vector, we have a line in the direction of the unit vector AL, and figure shows the vector A, and differential length is the DL. So we have to calculate the line integral of differential length DL. The resulting scalar function is the integrate along the path to obtain the desired result. The line integral of the vector A along the path L is then defined as integral L dot dl. The line integral of a vector A along the path L is then defined as A dot dl. So integral L is the A dot dl. From the figure, you are able to understand the concept of line integral of the vector. So this is the equation number 1. dl is equal to the vector in direction, unit direction AI into dl. AL is the unit vector in the direction of the length or incremental length. DL is the differential element of the length along the path L. This figure shows that the length of the curve and the DL is the incremental length, and the AL is the unit length in the unit vector in the direction of the DL or the length. So A dot dl is equal to the A dot AL dl, and we also write it as a AL dl. This is the line integral of the vectors, where the AL is the component of the A along the path L. A is the vector. So integral A dot dl is equal to the integral L AL dl. Whenever the path L is a closed path, the resulting line integral of A is defined as the circulation of A around L and is written as closed integral of A dot dl. This is equal to the closed integral AL dl. Whenever the path L is a closed path, the resulting line integral of A is defined by the circulation of A around the L and written as a closed integral in the form of the closed integral. So equation number 1 or 2 will become the closed integral A dot dl equal to the closed integral AL dl. This is our equation number 3. Now we have the after the surface line integral, we have surface integral of the vectors. Certain parameters in electromagnetics are defined in terms of the surface integral of a vector field component and the surface. The component of a vector normal to the surface is found using the dot product. The resulting scalar function is the integrated over the surface to obtain the desired result normal to to the surface integral of the vector A over the surface S, also called the flux of A through S, is then defined as double integral of surface A dot S. Figure show that the surface integral of A over the S. This is the surface integral over the S of A. Vector A is shown, and the unit vector An is the normal to the surface, that is the An, and ds is the surface, and S is the total surface of the given figure, and ds is the differential surface of the total S. So double integral of A dot AS. A is the unit vector, ds is the differential surface. So this is our surface integral vectors. Here, the interpretation of the each term is shown that the ds is equal to the an ds. An is the unit vector and ds is the differential surface element. As is unit vector normal to the surface S. ds is the differential surface element on the S. A dot ds equal to the A dot A and ds equal to A and ds, because A and ds is equal to the equal to that A dot ds. An component of A normal to the surface S. So An is the component of the vector A which is normal to the surface S. Now surface integral of the vector, that is the double integral of A dot ds is equal to the A dot double integral A ds. So dot product is converted into the cross multiplication or simple multiplication of the two things. For a closed surface S, the resulting surface integral of A is defined as the net outward flux of A to the S, assuming that the unit normal is an outward pointing normal to S. So closed integral of A dot ds equal to the closed integral A and ds. This is the case of the closed circuit surface. So resulting net outward flux of A through S, assuming that the unit normal is an upward pointing normal to the S. Next, we have a important interpretations in the vector calculus, that is the gradient, which is a very important topic in the electromagnetic field theory. It is a very versatile applications in the designing or in the calculation of the electric field vectors and magnetic field vectors. So the single valued scalar function of the space coordinates x, y, z is denoted by say v. It is denoted by the v. This is a single value scalar function and space coordinate by x, y, z. It is a function of the position or location only. The points in the space at which v has a given value, for example C, define a surface which is referred to as a constant value surface. Any number of such surfaces for the various assumed values of the constant C may be mapped. Such a map shows how the function V varies. The region where the surfaces are far apart indicate that the functions is slowly varying, and if they are closely spaced indicate the function is rapidly varying. The rate at which the v varies in any given direction at a given point in the space is called the directional derivative of v. The rate at which the v varies in any given direction at the given point in the space is called the directional derivative of the gradient. Can be seen that the directional derivative of v is maximum at a given point if the derivative is the taken in the direction normal to the constant value surface passing through that point, because the distance between the neighboring surfaces are small in the normal direction. This maximum value of the directional derivative is called the normal derivative of v. The maximum value of the directional derivative is called the normal value or normal derivative of v. Let v be the function of rectangular coordinates, that is the v is the function of x, y, z. A differential changes in this function is given by equation number 7. So the changes in the gradient, that is the differential changes in the gradient, is given by that dv over dx, or we are using here del v over del x into dx plus del v over del y dx plus del v over del z dz. If the differential distance is dl, that is the dx in the direction of the ax plus dy in the direction of the ay plus dz in the direction of the az, then the differential gradient is given by that the g into dl. That is the equation number 8. Next, further we have the next formula of the gradient, that is the changing in the gradient. Differential gradient is the dv is equal to the del v over del x in the direction of the ax plus del v over del y in the direction of the ay plus del v over del z in the direction of az. That means g is the gradient is the multiplied with the dl differential line. So this will become that next, then the incremental changes in the v can be written as, that is the dv equal to the z mod of the g into mod of dl cos theta. This is the equation number 10, where theta is the angle between the g and the length vector dl. So the differential changes in the gradient or differential gradient is shown by the dv is equal to the mod of g mod of dl cos theta. Theta is the angle between the g and the incremental length dl, which is along some chosen path, and clearly the maximum space rate of the changes of v will occur when the theta equal to 0. That is if we move in the direction of the G, the direction in which the maximum space rate of change of the V takes place is called the gradient of V. Usually the gradient of the V is denoted by delta V or del V. Movement along the lines of the constant V result in the no change in the V or dV equal to the 0. This shows that the G is equal to the del V is the normal to the constant V surface. Now we have a properties of the gradient of V. The magnitude of the del V equals to the maximum rate of the change of V per unit distance. This is the first property. Second property of the gradient of the V, del V points in the direction of the maximum rate of change of V. Del V at any point is perpendicular to the constant V surface that passes through that of the point. Next property of the gradient, the projection or component of the del V in the direction of a unit vector A is del V dot A. It is the projection in the direction of the unit vector and is called the directional derivative of V in the direction of A. So it is known as the directional derivative in the direction of the A. Gradient provides both the direction which V changes the most rapidly and the magnitude of the maximum directional derivative of V. And the last property of this is if A equal to del V, then V is called the scalar potential of A. So these are the properties of the gradient. So up to this, we have studied the gradient, vector, surface, volume, area, and length, and the properties of the gradient. Now expressions for the gradient in the different coordinate system. Now we are going to interpret the gradient with the Cartesian coordinate system as well as the circular coordinate system and cylindrical coordinate system or spherical coordinate system. Equation number 11, 12, 13 shows that the relationship with the gradient as well as the Cartesian coordinate, cylindrical coordinate, and spherical coordinate. So first we are going to discuss the Cartesian coordinate. In the Cartesian coordinate, del V is given by that del V over del X, AX, plus del V over del Y, AY, plus del V over del Z, AZ. In the case of the cylindrical coordinate, we are going to express that by equation number 12, that is the del V is the gradient and it is represented in the cylindrical coordinate, that is the del V over del R in the direction of the vector AR plus del V over del phi in the direction of the unit vector A phi plus del V over del Z in the direction of the AZ. We know that the Z component is the same in the Cartesian as well as cylindrical coordinate system. Now we have a spherical coordinate system. In the spherical coordinate system, delta V is represented as a del V over del R into AR in the direction of the R vectors, AR vectors, normal vector that is the R, plus del V over del theta in the direction of the A theta, plus del V over del phi, A phi in the direction of the phi. So this is the interpretation of gradient in the Cartesian as well as the cylindrical and spherical coordinate system. The next we have a flux and divergence of a vector field. The surface integral and flux of the vector field, that is the a closed surface is a boundary which divides a volume into two parts, in an inside and an outside. The surface itself is unbounded. Means a closed surface is a boundary which divides the volume into two parts. One is inside and second one is outside. The surface itself is unbounded. So it is the closed surface. We are assuming this closed surface as a volume. And elemental area is represented by ds, a vector of the magnitude ds, which points in the direction from inside of the volume towards the outside, outward down normal. Now an open surface is one which is bounded by a curve. The page of a book is an open surface. The page of a book is an open surface because it is bounded by a curve. The magnitude of the area is ds, and the normal is the one of the two normal. The direction which is chosen as a positive is related to the positive sense of traversing the parameters by following conventions. If a right hand screw is turned in such a direction as the follow in general the positive sense of the perimeter, then the screw will advance in the direction of positive normal to the surface. If the travel is in the counterclockwise direction, the normal is up. If clockwise, then direction normal is down. The surface integral and the flux of a vector field. The flux of a vector field F is defined for an open surface by summation integral F dot ds. For a closed surface, the flux is defined as closed integral F dot ds. So this is the flux of a vector field, surface integral and flux of the vector field we have discussed today in this video. And now we are going to the term divergence. The divergence of a vector function f at a point is defined as the divergence of a point is defined as the delta dot f equal to limit b tends to 0 bracket 1 upon b, again small bracket close integral f dot ds, small bracket close and big bracket. This is the equation number 14 for the divergence of a vector function f at point is defined as. The expression for the divergence in the Cartesian coordinate system. So we have again the representation of the divergence in the Cartesian as well as the different coordinate system. So first we have discussed the Cartesian coordinate system as well as the representation of the divergence in the Cartesian coordinate system. So del dot D equal to the del D over del X plus del D over del Y plus del D over del Z. So divergence is not give the unit vector directions. So equation number 15 shows that the Cartesian coordinate representation of divergence. In the other two coordinate system, the cylindrical coordinate system represent as a divergence, that is the del dot D equal to the 1 upon R del R dr upon del phi plus 1 upon R del d phi over del phi plus del dz over dz. This is the relationship between the divergence and the cylindrical coordinate systems. Now we have next and further important relationship between the spherical coordinate system as well as divergence. So del dot D is the divergence and it is represented as 1 upon R square del R square dr over del R plus 1 upon R sine theta del d theta sine theta upon del theta plus 1 upon R sine theta del d phi plus upon del phi. So equation number 16 is showing that the spherical coordinate system for a divergence. So this is the interpretations of divergence in the coordinate system. Next, the properties of the divergence. Next, we have a property of the divergence. What are the properties? In the previous, we have already discussed the property of the gradient, and now we have the properties of the divergence. So don't be confused in the divergence and the gradient. These two terms are different. The divergence produces a scalar field from the vector field. The divergence of a scalar makes no sense. So from this, the del dot A plus B equal to the del dot A plus del dot B. If vector B is a scalar, that is the del dot BA, B is the gradient and B is the scalar. So del dot BA is equal to the B del dot A plus A dot del B. So this is the properties of divergence. Now we have the geometrical interpretations of the divergence. The del dot D is a measure of how much the vector D spreads out. From the point questions, the vector function A has a large positive divergence at the point if the large number of the arrow are spreading out. If the arrow points in it would be a large negative, the divergence. And on the other hand, if the lines are parallel and uniform, then the divergence is 0. So del dot A x y equal to the 0, because the large number of lines are parallel and the uniform, then the divergence is 0. So this is shown that figure, the divergence is 0. The figure below shows the two cases where the divergence is the negative and where the divergence is the positive. So first case shows that the divergence is negative because the lines are coming inside the closed surface, and in the case of the second, the lines are going outside the closed surface. So that's why the divergence is positive. Figure below shows the two cases where the divergence is 0. Figure first shows that the some lines are coming inside and some lines are going outside. So resultant divergence is 0. And in the second figure, number of the lines is the uniform and parallel. So that's why divergence value is 0. We already discussed this case. The figure below shows a field whose values steadily increase as we go away from the y-axis. Vector field whose values steadily increase as we go away from the y-axis. So these figures shows that the value of the divergence and the interpretation of the geometrical interpretation of divergence. So through this, we are able to understand the where the value of the geometrical divergence is 0 and where the value of divergence is positive as well as negative. Through these figures, we are able to understand the concept of or interpretation of divergence. The vector field in the above figure is given by that the f mod x ax, the divergence of which is 1. So the divergence of which is 1. Now we have the multiple choice questions on the base of the gradient and divergence and vector surface area and incremental length. The mathematical perceptions of the gradient is said to be A. Tangent, B. Fold, C. Slope, D is arc. The explanation of this question is that the gradient is the rate of the change of space of the flux in the electromagnetics. This is the analogous to the slope in the mathematical. So correct answer of this question is slope, C. Question number 2, the divergence of the gradient of a vector function is equivalent to. There is the 4 option: A. Laplacian operation, B. Curl operation, C. Double gradient operation, D is the null vector. Divergence of gradient V equal to the del square V, which is the Laplacian operation. A function is said to be harmonic in the nature when its the Laplacian tends to 0. The gradient of the vector x in the direction of the I plus y in the direction of the z, j plus z in the direction of the k is A 0, B 1, C 2, D 3. These four option is given in the question number third. So the explanation of this question is the gradient is the 1 plus 1 plus 1 is equal to the 3. In the other words, the gradient of any position vector is 3. The divergence of a vector is a scalar state. True or false? Divergence can be computed only for a vector since it is a measure of outward flow of the flux from a small closed surface. As the volume shrink to zero, the result will be directionless or scalar. Find whether the vector is the solenoidal, that is the E equal to the YZ I direction plus XZ in the J direction plus XY in the K direction. So explanation for that is the divergence of E equal to the X, YZ, DY, XZ plus DZ, XZ equal to the 0. The divergence is 0 because the vector is the divergentless or solenoidal. Identify the nature of the field if the divergence is 0 and curl is also 0. So choice A shows that the solenoidal is rotational, B divergent rotational, C solenoidal is rotational, D divergent rotational. So explanation of this question is that since the vector field does not diverge, moves in a straight path, the divergence is the 0. Also, the path does not possess any curls, so the field is irrotational. Next question, the curl is defined as the angular velocities at the every point of the vector field and the straight and truth. The curl of vector is given by, that is the given the four option. The explanation is the curl into curl vector V equal to the gradient or divergent V, or it is equal to the del square V is the standard result of the curl operation. Which of the following theorem use the curl operation? A. Green's theorem, B. Gauss divergence theorem, C. Stokes theorem, D. Maxwell equation. Question number 10. The curl of a vector gives a scalar quantity, a vector quantity, zero value, non-zero value. Curl is also defined, always defined for a vector. So only the curl of a vector is a vector only. The curl of the resultant vector is also a vector only. So these are the 10 multiple choice questions on the divergence, gradients, and curl. So today we have discussed the basic things of the vector analysis. In this lecture, we have discussed about the gradient, properties of the gradient, and interpretation of the gradient in the coordinate system, three coordinate systems. In the next section, we also discuss the divergence and we also discuss the property of divergence, and in the last we have discussed the interpretation of the divergence in the coordinate three coordinate system. In the starting, we have also discussed the some integral and definition of the vectors for distance as well as the surface area. In this lecture, we have also discussed the flux and the interpretation of the flux, gradient, interpretation of the gradient, and the relationship of the flux with the gradient and the divergence, surface integrals of the vectors, surface integral of the vectors, line integral of the vectors. We have discussed this. So after watching this video, student will getting the knowledge of the vector calculus, that is the surface integral of the vector and the surface area of the vector, line integral of the vectors, and they are able to understand the gradient, divergence, and the properties. So thank you very much. These are the multiple choice questions.